Putting out music for more than 3 decades as a part of MXPX. Please give a huge round of applause to Mike Herrera next to me. Welcome, Mike.
Hey.
Thanks for being here. This is part of a new series that we're launching as part of the Smokestack. Where's my friend Bill Mickelson? Is Bill here? Can you give a wave, Bill? There we go. All right. Hey, Bill puts out the Smokestack. It is a quality publication. It's telling you about all the things that you need to know in your community, including the excellent live music that we have here. And that's why, Mike, you are so fitting to be our first guest on our Local Legends Conversations. So thanks for being here.
Wow, thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Of course, of course. And the timing could, of course, not be better because MXPX has a new album coming out here pretty soon. So tell me about that. I've heard the first single. It's amazing. We're staying up all night. It's very catchy. I love it, just like all things MXPX. Tell me about what it's like to release a record.
Well, I always get butterflies, even after all these years. This is our, it depends on how you slice it, but I think we count this our 11th studio album. If you get crazier, it goes up into like 14 or 15 or something like that. But just straight studio albums, it's 11, and you get those butterflies. It doesn't matter how many times I do it. It's kind of like getting up on stage and singing a cappella by yourself, right? It's who wants to do that right now? I'm sure somebody does. They're like, yes, I do. So, but for us, we have an album coming out. It's called Find a Way Home. And we have this single. It's called "Stay Up All Night." So if you haven't checked it out already, please go check it out. MXPX, "Stay Up All Night." And the song itself it's one of those songs that just will hit you if you really have time to listen to it and take it all in. It'll hit you somewhere. I think personally in your life, it has a way of finding what you need to hear. It's kind of weird how that happens in life. You see like, I don't want to say omens, but like for me, that was an omen. When I wrote that song, I knew that was the one we were going to release first. I just, for some reason, knew it. And here we are, like literally 2 years after I wrote the song. So the album comes out August 25th. So depending on when people are actually listening online, maybe it's out.
All right. That's a pretty common theme, I would say, through MXPX, is that sort of like, you not only like really get caught up in the music, but you listen to the lyrics and go, that's me, like that's my life. So there's this beautiful thing that you guys have been able to do for so many years now. Would you mind, for maybe the uninformed, taking us back through just the beginnings, all the way, 30 years ago, and what it was like to start a band in little Kitsap County?
Yeah, I started playing bass guitar, and I bought a bass out of Callow Pawn Shop for $175. I paid for half of it, my mom paid for the other half. I mowed a lot of lawns that summer.
You still have it?
I still have the bass. I still have it. It's a PVT-40, and it's a huge, just heavy, massive thing. But, that just got me started, and I started getting into local music first, really. My first big show was U2, but before I ever saw that, I saw Bad Juju in their basement at practice, which was a local punk band that at the time in the pretty much like 1991, somewhere in there, they were doing local shows, they were promoting their own shows, they were kind of doing it DIY, right? And so I was inspired by that, without realizing I was inspired by that. Started MXPX, we started promoting our own shows, we started doing everything DIY like we always have, and really 30 years later, there's a lot of those ethos that has hold true. We have our own mom and pop merch store. So most bands our size almost always outsource all of their merch, all of their mail order, online stuff. And we used to do that as well. We've gone through different phases of that. But the last 10 years, we've really been holding strong with DIY, selling everything in-house off of literally my parents work the merch store. So, shout out to my parents.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that you mentioned U2 because you guys do a cover of "I Will Follow" and have done a cover of "I Will Follow."
Yeah.
I absolutely love. Just about my love of MXPX. I'm curious. The plans to go out on tour. One of the things about MXPX is you guys are not afraid of going anywhere and everywhere where there are fans, and there are fans in sometimes interesting places. So what's that look like, and do we have a tour that will follow up this album?
Yeah, we're planning a lot of shows, and we're going to be announcing some shows that technically, as we record this, aren't even announced yet, but I'm going to feel safe and let you know.
Okay.
Because by the time everyone hears this, it'll hopefully be announced. But MXPX is going to be at the Palladium in Hollywood, California. That's a huge show for us. We'll be headlining that January 6th. And so 2024 is going to be mainly what we do most of our touring. We're going to be announcing a bunch of shows very soon. And you'll be happy eventually, but I can't say too much else about what our plans are live shows wise. But we do have some festivals this year that we're sort of capping off the new album, kind of getting it started. Furnace Fest in Alabama, it's a huge festival, headlining Friday night. Other bands that are supporting us on that show are Hatebreed. I don't know if you know who they are, a pretty huge hardcore band, amazing band. And Relay K. A bunch of other bands as well. And then we're doing When We're Young Fest in October in Vegas, and that's Blink-182, Green Day headlining, a bunch of bands like MXPX, Offspring, and all that. So we got a bunch of plans this year, but next year we're going to be headlining, and people in the Northwest will be happy, but I can't say anything else. But you know what you can do is if you're listening to this, and it's not August 25th yet, I don't know when this is going to be released, but we're going to be doing live streams. So you're going to be able to hear the whole new album live, literally live. We're not recording it and then playing it to you live on the live stream. Like, we're literally in our practice space playing the new album live. We're going to do multiple live streams, and that is going to be amazing. We have a bunch of surprises for that as far as just what happens, but just being able to play the new album live online for everybody is going to be huge for us. So that's our big launch.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it. I have noticed, and this is just totally a bonkers question, but you play a lot of Canadian dates when you go out on tour. What's that about?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah, we do. We have been there lately a lot. This is our cycle. This is our summer of Canada, where we're doing Quebec, because Quebec is a different province unto itself when it comes to Canada. They have European type festivals, so of all different sizes, big and small, and so we've been playing the festival circuit up there, not only with MXPX. MXPX headlined Festival a couple months ago, and then I was just up there with Goldfinger, and so I play bass with a band called Goldfinger as well, and we were just up headlining a couple festivals, so I guess literally just kind of piggyback back and forth. And for me, I'm up there all the time because I'm in both bands.
Okay, well, and you also hinted, but Pacific Northwest, we haven't seen you in Bremerton. I'm dying to see a show in your hometown, I gotta say. Maybe you can't say anything about that, but I'm just keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely be within driving distance of Bremerton when we do the show up here. But as you know, it could be Seattle, it could be Tacoma, it could be Bremerton, it could be Kiala. I don't know. We can't say, right?
We can't say, that's right. So one of the things that I really love about MXPX is that it is an institution. Your bandmates, I believe, work at the shipyard. If I'm not mistaken. But
they run that place.
Yeah, they run it. They run the whole thing.
At least middle management.
But that there's a snowball effect, and what you've done for our community, and I can't help. My wife was like, "You're not going to ask Mike about the key to the city that Kerry Bozeman gave you that in 2006." Of course, I want to ask about that, but that MXPX has grown, and I wonder if you could take me through the evolution of, it's three guys right now, but there's a lot more that goes into it than just three guys, right? You mentioned your parents,
of course.
and that it's big. What are we talking? What's the size of MXPX in terms of running it as an organization?
We're kind of a mini Pearl Jam. That's the best way to describe it, because Pearl Jam is an independent band in a lot of ways. They're very big, and they do a lot of what they do in-house. They have a team in an office, in a studio space office, to do all the business. We kind of have that. It's a little more spread out than that. We have people in Connecticut, Oklahoma, Nashville, like LA, all over, working on things with us. And so I'll be on the phone a lot be on text a lot. But we've gone through indie labels, started out on an indie label, of course. Got signed to, majors, did major labels for a while, back to indies. Indies are basically small majors nowadays. It's not much difference, and then lately we've been basically completely independent, releasing music ourselves. So everything you hear that we do now is on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. That's all released by us, by our team. So we kind of have a record label, but they switch over and do, video production, and they switch over into tour management and all the things that we need to do. So it's a lot for everybody kind of to shift around.
Cool. Yeah. One of the things that I was reminiscing about was I came on your podcast in 2017. And it was a real honor for me to be on there. And I was thinking about the fact that not only do you, for all intents and purposes, you're running a band, you are in a band, but also you are an intellectual guy. And that, you think about local politics, you think about state politics, you think about geopolitics. It really impressed me, your breadth of what you know, and I'm curious, for people, especially in Kitsap County here locally, why do you care? Why sort of follow the news? Why be a part of current events and why does that matter to you?
Well, thank you. I don't know if it always matters to me, but it really depends on what I'm paying attention to and what kind of bandwidth I have at the moment. So there was a time when I would watch the TV news all the time. This was probably 10 plus years ago, right? As most people, but things change, routines change, and the one thing that I don't want to know about everything in the world necessarily, but I do want to know if something major is happening, something important, something to give me context for why something's breaking down in my hometown. So it's a trip to be, from Bremerton and to look at Manette and see how much is changing outside. And in some ways, it's kind of sad, right? But in other ways, you're like, okay, it's revitalization. Things are getting better. So life is always like that. It's like the nostalgia mixed in with the let's make things better for the future, no matter what. So I think that's probably just what it is in me that makes me pay attention. It's wanting to have something to say. If I'm an artist and I'm writing songs, my songs aren't necessarily about geopolitics. 1 in 20 might touch on that a little bit. It's mostly, like you were saying earlier, songs about how I feel, and then people relating to that can feel a certain way about their own situation. Because life is so squishy, right? We all go through a lot of the same emotions and situations in life, but you have your own personal spin on something that only you can really understand. And that's basically what I do in songs, is I put my own personal spin on it, but I leave it enough to where people can grasp their own stuff and attach it to their lives. And I think that's the best thing. When we released Let's Ride from our last album in 2018, that song took off. It took off, and people really loved it. They loved the video. And that was a song that hit people right here, because they found a place for that in their lives. They found a place for that where they could have a sense of nostalgia for whenever they first heard that song and what it did for them. So it's not always what can a song do for you in your life? Not listen to my song. It's listen to this because this might help you. I mean, that's the idea anyway. It's not for everybody. Everybody kind of hears their own story and tells their own story in their head. That's why it's so hard to change the narrative once the narrative is set. Have you heard of the Bette Midler Theory? That's it. It's so hard to change people's story that they're telling themselves. So the louder you cry, the worse it's going to get.
I hear you there, and I can't tell you how many times I have walked around Bremerton listening to Let's Ride, and that's the swagger that you get in your step as you're going along. That song is just such a great pump me up. Let's go, let's do this.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
I love it. I love it, and it's been amazing.
That was from the 2018.
2018 self-titled, and it's on the new Tony Hawk that came out in 2021 or 2020. It might have been 2020 as well. No, it was 2020 it came out, and that boosted it again. You know, it found a whole new audience with Tony Hawk Pro Skater, that video game, and I can't tell you how happy I was to have my kids play Tony Hawk and have that song on. And it was just like, dude, I feel like this isn't even real life. I'm like living in the Matrix right now. So that was cool.
That's amazing. All right, I'm going to ask a really stupid question. I got to know about the spiky haired guy in the logo. I've never asked you about it. I should have asked you about it before we got up here on stage. And tell me the inspiration. Where did he come from? I got to know.
Our mascot, or the MXPX mascot?
Yes, please. Yeah.
We call it the Pokinatcha Punk because he's named after our first album called Pokinatcha, and he was on the first album, and so he's been with us ever since. And we hired John Nissen, an artist from Portland, Oregon, to do the artwork. And he first drew it, we kind of like told him, draw punk, you know, kind of like skanky. And he drew this like real like skinhead looking flannel wearing punk. And it looked like a grown man, and we were kids, you know, we were like little kids, literally probably 17 years old at the time. And we were like trying a little more cartoony, and then he came back with the Pokinatcha Punk as it is, you see it on the first album, and just right away it was just like, that's it, that's amazing. And I took that sketch, it was just a sketch at the time, but I took it to Temple Tattoo, downtown Bremerton, I think it's on Burwell, it was on Burwell at the time, and I got tattooed, and I was not 18, so it worked out though. So I still have that tattoo, and that was the first, you know, Pokinatcha Punk tattoo, and a lot of people now, a lot of fans have that, but yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
I hope I explained that well enough.
No, that's great. So I wanted to leave you with a little time. What can we look forward to from MXPX here in the future? I know we've got August 25th is a big date in our minds, and we've got a tour planned after that. It sounds like 2024. There could be some big things in Bremerton and very much beyond. Anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, I just want everybody to make sure you check out Stay Up All Night. It's the first single off of the new album. And then you know, we started with that song because it was just a heavy hitter as far as like, if you really pay attention to it, it'll hit you in the heart. All the other songs, honestly, are so much more positive, they're so much more upbeat, and it's like, when people hear it, I'm just excited for people to hear the record. Really excited. Tune into MXPX.com or any of our socials. We'll be on there. We're going to be on there a lot. So the weekend that the album comes out, we're going to be on there a lot. And if you missed it, it'll be up online on the MXPX YouTube or Facebook or wherever you find it.
Awesome.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Mike. This has been our first Local Legends conversation. We want to thank Malolo Designs for sponsoring this and the Smokestack. Stay tuned. You will hear more conversations. And thank you so much again, Mike.
Thank you, Josh.
Right.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.